wanted to ask you a couple questions about winning two Stanley Cups. Though I mean,
Yeah.
had to be obviously amazing. In Philadelphia, I was saying to Riley before, like now it's so fans aren't jumping on the ice and
Yeah.
all that, and seeing those pictures, you guys and people all over you. I mean, I can't even imagine. Like, are you happy? You're so excited you don't really care, or is it like what the fuck? Like, get off me! People are grabbing you.
Yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah,
The last part.
yeah, that's right. It's. I mean, oh god, I couldn't
If you
even.
look hard
imagine.
enough, you can see both Schultze, Dave Schultz, and I were. People come up and grab you. We did it. We did it. I don't know, what's this we shit? I didn't see you on the bus or the plane or in the locker room. Man. And I know that they all just wanted to feel that they were a part of it. But
Yeah,
most of the guys will tell you that, and you probably had some on the show, that we kind of felt robbed of that very special moment
right.
on the ice, with all of our
Yeah.
fans. And that's to me why, but to shut out the Boston Bruins with Bobby Orr and Phil Esposito,
Right.
we had a hell of a team. We had to have a hell of a team.
Yeah.
It's always bothered me that our team that never got the respect that it deserved. And that's why I'm glad we won our second cup, because everybody just said, oh, they just go and beat people up and that's how they win.
Right.
Really, maybe a little more to it than that.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
all had to pull on the rope at the same time. But I don't know if any of the other guys would admit this, but if we didn't win game 6, I don't think we win the Stanley Cup.
Really.
We had to go back to Boston for a
Yeah.
game 7.
Right.
Well, see, the problem that we had in that series was they had home ice advantage in a 7-game series. The problem was we hadn't won in 7 years in Boston.
That's right.
31 consecutive games we had played in Boston. I wasn't there for all of them, dating back to the late 60s. They hadn't won.
Incredible.
Yeah. And we lost game 1 with 22 seconds to go. And in game 2, we tied it up with 50 seconds to go and won it in overtime. So we got our one win,
Right.
but we didn't want to have to win another one
Yeah.
No.
in Boston. So to shut Boston out 1-0, and Riles, you know this, and Nasty, you know this too. When you're standing on a bench, Nasty, as you did for so many years, and Nasty, if you have a 1-goal lead against a really good team, the last 5 minutes of a third period is like 5 years.
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
god.
Years.
Yes.
If you're behind, the last 5 minutes seems like it's 5 seconds.
It's amazing, isn't it?
The perception of time is wacky. So we're nursing a 1-0 lead, and the clock is not moving. And come on.
Yeah.
Finally, it's going to happen, and that's when the whole surrealistic, is this shit real?
Yeah.
You start asking yourself, is this really happening? And there was a couple of minutes span there where I wasn't sure whether I was dreaming it or whether I was living it.
Right.
And when we finally realized what it was, when people say, what was it like? I said, well, picture you in a walk of life. If you were a lawyer, or a doctor, or a bricklayer, or whatever, and they had a competition to see who the best in the world was, and you get right down to the end after being so tired, so injured, worked so hard, having so many emotional ups and downs, all of those things, and finally being called the best in the world.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can describe what
Yeah.
it would feel like for you. So,
That's amazing.
and you know what, guys, it's one of the reasons why the second time was so wonderful to have won it to win on the road,
Yeah.
because we had the cup to ourselves. It came back on the plane with us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
And we were in the locker room with just a few extras, not a lot of different guys. It was really funny when we won our first cup. I was married to my first wife, and there was something wrong about the room. Was just getting loaded with people, and I kept my jersey on, and there were guys that had everything stolen. There were people
Oh,
that
I
were
bet.
taking stuff out of the room. But I thought, this isn't right. Our wives have been through all of this with us too. So I didn't take my skates off or anything. I plop in the Spectrum down to where the wives' room was, I think it was past the visiting locker room or between them. And I said to my wife, come on, you're going to be part of that. And then all the other girls' wives started following. So
That's
it was
awesome.
it was the right thing to do, to bring them
Yeah,
down
for
down the
sure.
room,
Yeah, of course.
So,
Yeah.
Riles, you're going to ask him about the leadership
Yeah,
stuff.
I was just curious. Obviously, when you win back-to-back Stanley Cups and on any great team, there's a core group of leaders. Can you talk to just the overall leadership group, Clarkie and down? Because I believe you were like, you're probably a leader, but I mean, I think it looked like it was a collective group of everyone buying in and just an amazing chemistry there.
yeah. If I was a leader, it was because I worked hard and I always tried to help other people. I think I was way too young. I got traded away from the Flyers when I was 24, and I was really immature. So I went to Washington. They made me captain, and boy, that was a tough job because we were a second-year expansion team, and there weren't many guys that really cared about anything. But in Philadelphia, the leadership group was right at the top with Bobby Clarke. I can't imagine that there was ever a young athlete that was as committed to winning, that had as great a hatred for losing, and that would do anything to win and would expect everybody else on the team to do the same thing. Nobody ever outworked Bobby Clarke. And he was a talented player too. I mean, and he didn't have a great shot, but he could put up numbers. I mean, in many ways, he reminded me of Wayne Gretzky, because Gretzky wasn't an overpowering skater, or he didn't have a great shot or any of those. Clarkie was a great passer, but he was tenacious, and he could dig, and he could do all of the right things. But the one thing that separated, I think, Bobby Clarke from any young person that is given the role of leader is he was not afraid to have the tough conversation with you, one-on-one. We need you. You're not giving us what you want, what we want. And it's funny, there's a book that's sitting over my bookcase, you can't see it, called The Servant Leader. And a guy named James Austin wrote it. And in one paragraph, he wrote, the number one drawback in the business world and shortcoming of almost everybody in a management or leadership position is the inability, the fear, or the reluctance to have the tough conversation. In other words, it's easy to say, hey, Ralph, we're really glad we hired you. You're doing a great job. But so few are able to say, Ralph, you're not doing what we expected of you. Tell me why. It's a hard conversation to have. I remember, Bobby Clarke came in when I was, I had a little tear in my medial collateral ligament. I did that in practice in the Rangers series, and I couldn't skate. I tried, and I was in the whirlpool for game 4 one night, and Clarkie came in and talked to me and said, how's your knee? And our trainer told me just to come in and get in the jacuzzi to try to, I couldn't even bend it to 90 degrees. So I'm in the whirlpool, and Clarkie came in and said, how's your knee? I said, it's not very good. And he said, can I tell you something? And I said, sure. He said, I don't think we can win the Stanley Cup without you. And I went,
wow.
What?
Powerful.
He said, look, Barry Ashby had lost his eye. Gary Dornhofer had a completely separated shoulder. The Hound had a bad knee, Bob Kelly, and I was out of the lineup. And he said, look, the guys that we've got called up from the minors can't do what you can do. Even if you could just kill penalties, we really need you. He said, I don't want you to do anything to hurt your knee, but just understand, when you're ready to come back, we're really ready to have you back.
Wow.
And he left. And over the years, people have said, boy, you talk about peer pressure. I said, I didn't feel peer pressure. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't give me an ultimatum. What he did is made me feel that I was vital to the outcome.
Right.
Yeah. That's what anybody wants in life. You want to feel that you're important to the cause.
Yeah, of course.
So I got out of the whirlpool and dried myself off and hopped up on the table, and I said to our trainer, Frank Lewis, I said, shave my leg and spray me and tape it as best you can. I'm going to take the warm up. So I took the warm up, and I felt like I looked like a guy that had 2 neon signs on his body, one on my back that said one-legged man, because I was kind of hobbling around, and then one on my knee that was flashing on and off with arrows saying, hit him here, hit him here.
Yeah, right.
Here.